Welcome to Yoga Biz Studio, a bi-weekly internet show of 10 to 30 minutes in length hosted by me, Keeley Mitchell, principal at Z Living, and my colleague,
Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services.
On our show each week, we share business, legal, and marketing insights for yoga studio owners and independent yoga teachers. For our Yoga Biz Studio webcast, we use Google Plus Hangouts on air. This gives us some flexibility about how people can view our show. So you're either watching this via our website at yogabizstudio.com, on the Google Plus event page for today's show, or via YouTube. Our Google Plus event page has a Q&A panel on which you can ask questions or make comments. If you're watching via YouTube, click on the yellow graphic to access the page I'm talking about. Carla and I will do our best to follow the questions and answer them. So let's move on to today's topic. As a business and legal consultant to yoga and wellness businesses, I'm approached with a lot of questions from business owners. One of the popular questions is, should a business add additional revenue streams, or as Carla and I refer to as complementary services? These services are not the focal point of one's business, but added benefit services that complement the primary business. For example, a yoga studio offering massage services, or a chiropractor's office offering yoga therapy. While these additional services While these additional services can add additional revenue to your business and provide value-added customer service for your customers and clients, if not done correctly, can easily cause more headaches than they are worth. And with that, I'm going to head it over to Carla for her to start us off.
Excellent. Thanks, Keeley. Yeah, I want to add a quick side note here for those that might be listening rather than watching our show, that we are talking about the word complementary as in a service that complements what you already do, not necessarily a complimentary, a free class, although that is a good marketing strategy. For today's conversation, we are talking about something that complements the services that you already have. So
great point, Carla.
yeah. And Keeley, I'm sure that what we're saying here, it is it's often asked question. As business owners, we're constantly trying to look at the income versus the expenses. We're trying to figure out how to leverage our time and make more money. So I can definitely see how folks would be approaching you about this. Mm-hmm. So figuring out what complementary services to offer to bring in more income is a valid strategy. If I can work with a massage therapist to schedule appointments in another room, or use the studio during non-class hours, is that a good way to bring in more income? I'm certain the thought is I'm not the one who's going to be providing the services, so wouldn't that be advantageous? But a disadvantage about this, I'm sure folks are considering, is what I call the PIA factor, which is what happens if the massage therapist is sick? Or what happens if my relationship with that service provider goes south? Or what if? There's 1,000 what if questions we're asking here. So these questions can go on and easily talk a studio owner out of considering the alternative income streams, right?
Right.
So Keeley, what should our yoga studio owners consider?
All right. So, of course, I'm going to focus on the legal stuff, so everyone just bear with it. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible.
It's all educational, Keeley.
Educational, but I don't want anyone's eyes glazing over because we're going legal here. Like I said, I'm keeping it simple. But when adding complementary services, there are some legal issues you need to think about, and there's 5 main issues I do want to address in today's discussion. The first one is determine the relationship with the provider. And what I mean by this is, who is providing the complementary services? Will it be you? Are you qualified? If not you, then the person who will be providing the service, will they be an employee or an independent contractor? How will this person be paid? Will they rent the space from you and then customers pay them directly? Will you collect the fees and then pay the service provider? So there are a lot of questions, surrounding that. And of course, I know I just threw a bunch of them at you, and there's plenty more that you could be asking yourself. But you need to ask these questions and you need to resolve the issues before you start providing these additional services. And it's definitely important to have some type of agreement in place as to the relationship and how payments will be received. And of course, when I say agreement, I mean written agreement, RITTEN. I will not say the client right now. I will not write out names, but I have one client who's struggling right now because she's not putting things in writing. And everything's wonderful when you do a handshake and everyone's happy and all the potential, but if something goes wrong, you definitely want it in writing, especially if you need to determine whether this person is an employee or independent contractor. There's employment tax issues at hand, so that's why you have to decide that. Determining how you're going to pay them or how they're going to pay you, it all needs to be in writing, because I just say people, strategically have amnesia when things go sour, and they only remember what's in their favor. They don't remember what they agreed to that's in your favor, so just make sure you get that in writing.
Yeah, Keeley, this is one of those topics where when you and I started the show about 6 or 8 months ago, I would go, eek, every time you brought up a legal issue. But, I'm certain this is a really big issue, having that written agreement and understanding. Everybody's on the same page. There's no confusion. Everything's straightforward, and there's no more question marks, right?
Exactly. Think of it, I always say written agreements are yogic. You just know where you stand, and everyone can remember everyone can be happy and kumbaya and all of that when it's written down. So doesn't go against anything. It's still really good. So the next thing I want to bring up is qualifications. The second issue, when I focus on qualifications, I kind of touched upon it above in the questions, but I want to go a little bit in further detail now. Whether it's you or someone else providing these complimentary services, make sure whoever performs the services is qualified. Has the required education been obtained? Are there certifications in place? Are licenses required by the state? Remember, different services require different requirements. For example, an acupuncturist needs to be licensed by the state in order to provide services, as well as a massage therapist. And each state is different. So if someone's coming in, we're in the Philadelphia area, so if someone's coming in from New Jersey and you have a studio in Pennsylvania, just because they're licensed in New Jersey does not mean they are able to perform the services in Pennsylvania. So you're going to want to make sure that all the licenses and certifications are up to date and current and they're valid. So if these are complimentary services you're providing, like I said, you want to make sure you have the proper licenses are obtained, they remain current. If not, here's like the big issue: if you don't do this, you could be liable for any harm resulting from these services or fined for not having the proper licenses. So if these people are coming under your business, you're putting your business at risk. Not only is that person putting themselves at risk, but your business is at risk too. So you just want to make sure that you got your bases covered there. The third issue is insurance. Do not assume that your current insurance policy covers the additional services you're adding on. Speak to your insurance agent about the new services so it can be determined whether additional insurance coverage is needed to be purchased. Most likely, I want to let everyone know, if you're adding services on, most likely you're going to need additional insurance. If you have a yoga studio, your insurance coverage is probably just covering the yoga practice and not a massage therapist or an acupuncturist. So just make sure you have that discussion and you're covered. Number 4, check the lease. Many of us are renting storefronts, so before you add additional services, you want to make sure that you can actually operate your services at your location. Your lease may have restrictions, so start there. I also further suggest you talk to your landlord or get an attorney and talk to them about your ideas, just in case you're missing something when you glance over the lease. There's so many times I have people say it's not in a lease, and then I know where to look for it, and when I look for it, I find it. So just make sure you confirm with the landlord and an attorney. If you don't want to get the attorney, just make sure you read the lease very carefully. If your lease is silent about the issue, but your landlord agrees to it, I suggest then that you make sure that you get it your agreement reduced to written form. There's that in writing again.
Really, Keeley? You suggest something in writing?
Yes, in writing. So make sure that if your landlord agrees that you do an addendum to the lease and it says you're able to do these services. Too many times I see people renting places, the landlord agrees to additional services, and then the landlord turns around and rents another spot in the location to someone who's a direct competitor with your complimentary services, and then now it causes a clash, and nothing was ever in writing, nothing was ever agreed to, so you just want to do that. For those of you who own your storefronts, I know there's a few of you out there, excuse me, or operate from your homes, you may want to check if there are any zoning issues for your services. If you're from your home, there's an HOA, that means the homeowners association, are preventing you from doing it. These are things, if you're owning, you need to desperately check into. Also, you want to make sure that you're not violating any city ordinances or zoning laws. So once again, I suggest, if you don't feel like going to the city and rummaging through the public records to see if you can do these additional services, you contact an attorney so they can do the research for you. All right, and the last tip, which I've been saying all along, is get everything in writing. Can you guys feel the hint? Like, it's really the theme here, in writing. So I know I'm like repeating it over and over, sounding like a broken record. However, if it is more directed to, I guess, this section of getting things in writing, if you're an independent yoga teacher, and if you're partnering with another independent professional. So I am doing a little bit twist on the writing here. And oftentimes people are starting to do this. So independent yoga teacher kind of partners up with a massage therapist, and they're going to kind of do cross-marketing and trading services back and forth. If you decide to partner with someone so that you can trade business and help each other grow, make sure you have a written agreement between the two of you of your relationships and what your liabilities are. Most likely, you will want something in writing stating that you are both independent and you indemnify each other for each other's work. So what I mean by that is, if you're a yoga instructor, you want to make it very clear you are not liable for the actions of the massage therapist, and should you be sued, that massage therapist agrees that they're going to indemnify you for any of your legal costs that you may suffer. And you just want to make sure, because customers might think you're one business and not see that you're just two separate businesses helping each other. So hopefully I made this legal lecture very educational, fun, and not too stressful. But these are really key things. So if you feel like you missed something, when we post the replay of this on our website, our notes are there. Go back through and just see what you need. Fantastic. As always, good stuff, Keeley. And yes, get everything in writing. Get everything in writing. Get everything in writing. So I'm going to switch off of, well, that's because Keeley does the legal stuff and I handle the marketing. I handle marketing stuff. So from a marketing standpoint, you also have some concerns when you're offering complimentary services. Mainly, who's paying for and manages the marketing. Will the studio owner handle most of the marketing costs and the service providers contribute to that marketing effort, or will the service provider be completely responsible for their own marketing? Another question is, will the complimentary services become part of the overall marketing effort of the studio on social channels, or will each remain separate? So this is another section to cover in the written agreement. Again, the more detailed that written agreement is, the more straightforward everything is, there are less question marks. So if everything's outlined in writing as Keeley suggested, then the marketing decisions will be easily met and understood. So just make sure you know who's handling what. Maybe the massage therapist is handling the social posts every 3 days a week, and the studio owner's handling the rest of the posts, or maybe the studio owner's handling all of the marketing and the massage therapist is just providing content to push out there. So you will have all of that, again, as long as you've got a very well-written agreement. And you may find over the years, as I have, that joint ventures are really motivating and help keep you on track because you have someone to be accountable to.
Keeley and I have this joint venture that we're doing, and it keeps me motivated to create content and keep my marketing consistent. But you also want to make sure that you're protected, both your time and your money. So again, get your agreements in writing and make sure everybody understands who's handling what.
Great advice, Carla. I always love when Carla does the marketing because I can learn so much from her.
Thank you.
So, and she's right about the joint venture. Like, we work together, and it keeps me accountable for the stuff I have to do. So, they really do work out if you do it correctly. All right. So, for the next episode, we hope to have a special guest talk to us about blogging. I know Carla has told you guys over and over, blogging is great for marketing. Me and Carla both do it, so you're definitely going to want to tune into this. So tell your friends, and we'll see you here Thursday, August 21st at 2 p.m. and that's Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, please feel free to message us with your questions or show ideas. You can always email us at yogabizstudio@gmail.com. Or you can visit our website at yogabizstudio.com. And, of course, you can find us on the social networks at Google+, Facebook, and Twitter under the handle Yoga Biz Studio. Other reminders, if you're in the Metro Philadelphia area, or as I say, feel like coming to Philadelphia, be sure to check out 2 upcoming events this fall. One, I am, in the Hope with Carla and other folks, putting on the Yogis Business Retreat that will be held on November 1st and 2nd. This event will be held at Westchester University in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Right now, VIP tickets are available, and you can get them for $397, but that $297 gets you special freebies and so much stuff that's valued over $1,500. So it's definitely worth it, and they're only available for 3 more days, so you definitely want to sign up and get that. So visit the Z Living website. You can go to zliving.com, and on the front page you can click on the Yogis Business Retreat, and it'll take you there and give you all the information and details that you need. And like I said, the special VIP tickets are available only until August 10th. So snatch them up while you can. Now, the other event, which is another awesome event, Westchester is a cool place to be this fall. You're going to want to check out the Fall 2014 Namaste offered by Philly Area Yoga. This, too, will be held at Westchester University in Westchester, and it's going to be Sunday, October 19th. More details can be found at namastephilly.com. Tickets have gone on sale. The early bird tickets are available. And this is an amazing one-day event. Carla and I both will be there. So, it's definitely worth coming out. So, little plugs there for us.
Yes.
So, I think I covered all the updates, things coming. So always visit our website, sign up for our newsletter. We also keep you up to date on other events going on around the country for yogis and yoginis. So I think I covered it, Carla.
Yes, excellent. Thanks, Keeley. And thank you to the audience for joining us today. Our Yoga Biz Studio show is brought to you bi-weekly by my colleague Keeley Mitchell of Z Living and myself, Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services. So until 2 weeks from now, namaste, everyone.
Namaste.